I'll start talking to Nova because I think I did. Oh, crikey. There we go. Whoops. Well, it'll say good morning to Nova, hopefully. It's a test. Maybe. Great. Great start. Good morning. Probably because I changed microphones. Yeah, I want to fix the audio on that, obviously. Just a few different little fiddly state things, but that's not what I'm doing today. So I've just been working on making like video containers, video editing containers on AWS. And it's been a bit of a slog, but I think I'm making progress. I've got the, I'll show you, I've got, watch me accidentally share all my AWS auth keys in the space of like 20 minutes. I don't want to. I'm not sure how I feel about the like cutout. I reckon I'm gonna get rid of it. Should be transmitting as much data as possible. That's my new motto. Changed rooms. Actually, that makes sense. And I can put this like big like that again. I get Nova and I put it in the front. Hey Nova, do you want to have some fun? MFA, alright. So yeah, basically basically I've got a containerized media editor. It's pretty simple. And I'm pushing it to Amazon Image Registry. I'm using it, and I've got an instance that when I run an ECS service, it uses that image and spins up that instance. So it's like, I'm getting there. I think where I was up to was like how to actually access it. Just gonna check my megabits. My downloads in the billions. It looks like it. This has been it's been a bit of a slog, I'm not gonna lie. This is the, yeah. I think like, I had a fair bit of momentum, which is cool. It looks fine. How do I get to the restream? How do I get to the restream chat? Where are you? It's one of those situations, eh? What is he doing? I think it's like, here we go. There we go. Hello, to a chatty window. All right, so yeah, basically it's a bit of slog, so I don't know. Amazon's really complicated. I think there's other solutions that I could use. But I'm a pretty determined individual, as anyone who has watched this before would probably agree. Which makes up for my, you know, I'm I don't want to say I'm not smart, but like, I tend to just use sort of like brute force over anything else. Just like I'm a hard worker. I'm a harder worker than I am a smart worker. I work hard, not smart. There we go, that'll do. For example, noticing that on my Amazon, on my everything is loading really slow. I guess this isn't technically a for example. Everything's loading really slow. You know what, I could probably just plug my modem straight in. Hey babe, watch out for this Ethernet cable. I'm just running it to the computer for now. But don't trip on it. What are the odds of this knocking my stream offline? Hopefully not high. So been learning a fair bit about Amazon in the way that I learn, which is to just sort of poke around a lot. For example, if you've got something running and other services running, they need to be in the same region. Or maybe, I don't know, sometimes I pick up stuff as I'm debugging, but then I like don't know what actually made the difference. But like, you know, I won't see, for example, then I didn't see that cluster because I wasn't in that region. So I've got this service running and I was actually able to logcat in and see the the server. It's funny because like once I actually get this working, like there's so many other things I need to do to then make it work. But you know, this is the hard bit. Well, everything's the hard bit. KC2. Well, I think Amazon's quite cool. AWS. Everyone complains about it. Because it's complicated, but it's like, well, of course it's complicated. It's doing like one of the most incredible, it's providing such an incredible set of interlocking services in a predictable way. It's just, I think it's fucking sick. Okay, oh yeah, so where we last left off yesterday was I realized I'd been pushing. Okay, so port 5500 and then app, the Docker file was exposing 5,000 5000. So now I'm pretty sure that that's the right port. But I'm still like getting fucking nowhere, as they say. So let's go to Nova. Okay, so yeah, so I wasn't able to connect via the instance connect, which is interesting because it's the same, you know, IP. But I was able to connect via SSH. Which was cool because it's like, all right, I've got it running, and then you can go Docker PS. And then I can go, okay. Docker exec dash IT, and then this, and then bash. So then I'm in the app, as far as I can tell, which is confusing. Oh, and then this does work. Oh no, okay, hang on, that doesn't work. Wait, no, I gotta do curl. Curl. Hello world. All right, so that's where I got to. All right, so let's talk to Nova. Hopefully. Hey, okay, so I've tested that and I'm getting my hello world back. So the app is running on the instance that I'm in via SSH. I've got the right exposed port 5500, and then I added port 5500 and port 80 to the, I can't remember, is it the tart somewhere, but I've also noticed that like I can't use the EC2 instance connect, which uses the IP, which I could previously. So yeah, how do I hit this endpoint? Maybe I should be using load balancing. Maybe it's like expecting that. I guess that's me on the okay, so it's actually not using the right task definition. So that would involve going to default. So this server, service, update service. Okay, well maybe that will help. So I've got like a few different injuries at the moment. Oh, it's the 1st of March. Woohoo! Yeah, so I've got like, I kind of put my back out yesterday, like lifting my desk up so that I could put my carpet underneath it, and then I've like got a really fucked up hand lately. It's a bit of a bummer. Oh, okay, why is this not working? Hello, test. Clear it. Yeah, I'm a bit sick of like the Nova project at the moment. Hello, testing. I'm using voice to text, so testing if it's working. Might have like an out-of-date API or something. Great.
Hello. It sounds like you're checking if your voice input is working correctly. If you can read this response, it means your voice input has been successfully recognized and processed. Is there anything specific you'd like to discuss or need assistance with today? Feel free to ask.
Yeah, so I've been able to SSH into the container, exec in, and hit the endpoint, and I am getting my hello world response, so the expected response. So I've realized that I don't know if I pushed like the updated task definition that I did, so I'm waiting to see how that goes. But I feel like I'm definitely missing something with like exposing this endpoint outside of, Amazon.
Great to hear that you've successfully SSH'd into your container, executed commands, and received the expected Hello World response from your application. This means your application is operational within the container, which is excellent progress. Regarding exposing your endpoint outside of Amazon Web Services AWS and ensuring your updated task definition is in use, let's tackle these issues one by one. Ensuring updated task definition is in use. 1. Update ECS service. When you create a new revision of a task definition, you need to update your ECS service to use the newly created task definition revision. This will ensure that any new tasks started by the service will use your updated definition. 2. Forced deployment. To quickly replace the existing tasks with new ones, Using the updated task definition, you can force a new deployment. This can be done in the ECS console under your Services Deployments tab by selecting Update Service and then choosing to force a new deployment. Exposing endpoint outside Amazon 1, Elastic Load Balancer. If not already done, use an ELB. Application Load Balancer, or ALB, is often suitable to route external traffic to your ECS service. Assign a listener on your ELB for the port that your service will be accessed on externally, e.g., port 443 for HTTPS or 80 for HTTP, and point it to a target group associated with your ECS service. 2. Security groups and network access control lists. Ensure your ELB and ECS services security groups are configured to allow inbound traffic on the ports you're using for external access. Similarly, check your VPC's NAME CLs to ensure they aren't blocking the traffic. 3. Domain name optional. If you want to use a custom domain name to access your service, you can use Amazon Route 53 or another DNS service to point a domain at your ELB. For HTTPS, make sure to configure an SSL certificate through AWS Certificate Manager ACM and attach it to your ELB listener. 4. If not using an ELB and you want direct access to your service for testing, ensure your ECS tasks in the public subnet are configured to auto-assign public IPs. Debugging connectivity issues. Task: verify that the ECS tasks have elastic network interface with public IPs, if not using an ELB, and are ensure that the load balancer listener setup correctly forwards requests to the appropriate port on your ECS service tasks. If you've followed these steps but still face issues, consider double-checking the ELB and ECS configurations. Sometimes a small oversight in configuration can lead to connectivity issues. Please let me know if you have questions about any of these steps or if there's more specific detail you need. You're making great progress, and we'll work through any remaining issues together.
Okay, so the ECS update and the task update has happened, and there I declared port 80 and port 5500, which I feel like I don't need to do. Like the 5500 is like the, the application, localhost 5500. Anyway, but I opened both of them and I tried both. In the instance it gives you that public IP and the IP doesn't come back with anything, and then the IP with 5500 doesn't come back with anything. So like, yeah, that's like the current configuration isn't working. I don't have a load balancer. And I guess I'm just going to start there. I was hoping I could like just target one instance and target its IP to just confirm, from the instance and container, like to the outside world, does this work? But maybe because it's ECS, it needs the load balance. I'm not sure, but so I'll just start there. So I guess like my questions are, okay, the Elastic Load Balancer, I guess I'll just create one. Let's just start there, I guess. Oh, okay, so when I say there's load balancer types, so application, load balancer, network, or gateway, I guess application. Internet facing.
Given your current situation and the goal to expose your ECS service to the outside world, setting up an Elastic Load Balancer ELB is a good next step. It's not strictly necessary for all ECS deployments to use an ELB, especially if you're running just a single task for testing purposes. However, ELBs do provide a robust and scalable way to manage external access, distribute traffic, and enhance availability for your service. Here's how you can proceed. Setting up an Elastic Load Balancer ELB1, choose the ELB type. For your use case, an Application Load Balancer ALB is most likely appropriate, as it operates at the application layer and can route HTTP/HTTPS traffic. If you're dealing exclusively with TCP traffic, a Network Load Balancer NLB might be more fitting. 2. Create the load balancer. Navigate to the EC2 dashboard in the AWS Management Console and go to the Load Balancers section. Click Create Load Balancer and select Application Load Balancer. Fill in the necessary details. Name. Give your load balancer a descriptive name. Select Internet Facing to allow access from the Internet. Set up a listener for HTTP on port 80 or HTTPS on port 443 requires an SSL certificate. If you start with HTTP, you can always add HTTPS later. Select the VPC and the availability zone subnets where your ECS tasks are running. Make sure these are public subnets with internet access. 3. Configure security setting if using HTTPS. If you chose HTTPS, you would need to specify an SSL certificate. You can use AWS Certificate Manager ACM to provision or import an SSL certificate. 4. Configure security groups for the ELB. Create or select a security group that allows inbound traffic on the listener ports you configured, 80 for HTTP, 443 for HTTPS. This security group should allow all outgoing traffic. 5. Configure routing. Create a new target group or select an existing one. Target groups tell the load balancer where to route the traffic. Choose IP if using the Fargate launch type or instance for EC2 launch types. Protocol and port. Here you would specify HTTP and the port your application inside the container listens on, 5500. Health checks. Configure health checks to a path your application responds to with HTTP 200, ensuring the load balancer can determine the health of your service. 6. Register targets. With an instance target group, choose the EC2 instances running your tasks. For IP target groups, often used with Fargate, your tasks will be automatically registered with the target group as they start. 7. Review your settings and create the load balancer. Integrating with ECS, update your ECS service. Go to your ECS service and update it to use the newly created load balancer. In the service configuration, under Load Balancing, select your load balancer and the appropriate container name and port for target group association. This setup should allow external traffic to reach your ECS service through the ELB, confirming ELB functionality. After setting up the ELB and updating your ECS service, monitor the ELB's target group to ensure your tasks are registered and passing health checks. Access your service using the DNS name provided by the ELB. Creating and configuring an ELB involves several steps and settings, so it's common to iterate on the configuration. If you encounter issues, check ELB and target group configurations, security group rules for both ELB and ECS tasks, ECS service and task definition for correct integration with the ELB. Feel free to reach out if you have questions about any of these steps or encounter issues along the way.
Okay, so I've got the balancer. DNS name here now, which I don't. Oh, that's something. So yeah, I don't think I would have to type 5500. Maybe I have to type 80? No, anyway, that's okay. So I've got a balancer. And then what was the other thing I just made? A scale group. Nova router. Test scale is what I called it, I guess. Load balancer target group. Okay, so maybe this isn't what I'm thinking of, so I think I'll delete. Status updating capacity, what does that mean? I see the templates, which is different again. So, okay, what oh, target groups. Okay, yeah, that's where I just was. So test scale is this. Huh. So I'm gonna delete that. Yes, delete. Okay, now, so if I go to ECS, I love doing this shit. Okay, what did you say, Nova? Oh, cancel. Okay, so services, update service, use a load balancer, which is in somewhere. Rendering. Placement, port mapping. So I think I'm going to get rid of that. Read only, add environment, AWS, container. I'll just do that anyway. And then, okay, so default, that's the cluster. Maybe I can, what? Okay, so service, update the service, compute service. Creating a new ECS service that has container exposed port 80 on the second screen. Configure network. Choose the VPC and subnets under load balancing application. Okay, so this is more like here. No? Okay. So that's interesting. Auto assign public IP is turned off, which I feel like it shouldn't be. If we go update, rendering desired. So it gets most of its info from the task definition. So it is in here. Okay, so container network settings, container timeout, startup, dependency, health check, Docker, resource, Docker, storage, monitoring. Don't think it'd be anything like that. So where else is there stuff? Move, I'll hide that. Health check, no. So I'm having trouble finding a place to set load balancing. So I've gone into the service. So Elastic container in the cluster. Then I've got the service. Then I go update service, and I see task definition, service connect, service discovery. The service auto scaling, but it doesn't say anything about load balancing. It's just auto scaling, which I feel like I've seen that in a different spot. And then similar with task definition, where it's basically in the actual revision section of it, EC2, network mode AWS VPC, which you've recommended before, task role, I've got the execution role, port mappings 80, but yeah, can't see anything about selecting load balancing unless I'm just missing it. And then, yeah, what I do notice is that if I go to, if I go to the service and I go to configuration and networking, I can see, load balancers blank. So I can see the value there, but I can't see the, where I can set it. I also notice that auto assign public IP is off there. So maybe I need to make a new service. Okay, so I couldn't see anywhere where I could update the service I had, but I tried making a new service and it does have the load balancer section. Uh, when I use an existing listener, 80 HTTP, I get no target groups for this listener have required target type IP address. And then the target group, use an existing target group, so the one we made. Target group is incompatible with selected task definitions network mode, which is set to AWS VPC. So either the network mode of the task needs to change or the network mode of the target group. But that's where I'm also skeptical of, like, is this, like, the load balancing stuff, I get it, but like also should I be, am I trying to debug something that when the problem, which is that I can't get a single instance to be public working, like, is this a distraction from just getting like a single instance, like able to be connected externally? Did that work? Oh my god. So yeah, basically I can see in the service group, I can't add the load balancer, but I can make a new one with it. But it's saying that the target group is incompatible with the selected task definition, which is set to AWS VPC. Target type is instance, but must be IP. So, yeah, what does that mean? Okay, so if I go to this VPC here,
The error message you're encountering indicating that the target group is incompatible with the selected task definition set to AWS VPC, and that the target type must be IP instead of instance relates to how your ECS tasks are networked and how they communicate with the load balancer. Understanding target types and network mode 1, AWS VPC network mode. When your ECS task definition is set to use the AWS VPC network mode, each task is assigned its own Elastic Network Interface, ENI, which comes with a unique IP address within your VPC. This mode provides each task with the networking capabilities of an EC2 instance, including its own IP address, which is not shared with other tasks. 2. Target types, ALB. Target groups can have one of 3 target types. Instance. Targets are identified by instance ID. This works well when each target is an individual EC2 instance. Targets are identified by IP address. This is necessary when using the AWS VPC network mode in ECS because each task has its own IP function. Directs traffic to AWS Lambda functions. Resolving the issue. Since your ECS tasks use the ASVPC network mode, you need to set your target group's target type to IP to be compatible. Here's how you can adjust or create a new target group with the correct setting. 1. Create a new target group. Go to the EC2 dashboard in the AWS Management Console and navigate to the Target Groups section under Load Balancing. Click Create Target Group. Choose IP as the target type. Fill in the other details as required, such as name, protocol, port, the port your application listens on, e.g. D500 and VPC. Under Health Checks, configure the path your application responds to for health check pings. Create the target group. 2. Update your ECS service. With your new IP-based target group created, you can now update your ECS service to use this target group. Navigate to your ECS service in the AWS Management Console. If you cannot add the load balancer to an existing service due to configuration constraints, you may need to create a new service. When creating the new service, under Load Balancing, select your new load balancer and specify the target group you just created. For load balancer type, your service should automatically detect it based on your selection. Summary. By using an IP-based target group with your ECS tasks that are in AWS VPC network mode, you ensure proper routing of traffic from the load balancer to the individual tasks based on their unique IP addresses. Remember, each new version of a task definition or adjustments to your ECS service may require reviewing these settings to ensure compatibility. If you have any more questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask. If you have any more questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
So it's now asking, so I'm doing it via the IP address, and it is now saying register targets, and it's like step 2, choose a network VPC, specify IPs and define ports. You can manually enter IP addresses from the selected network. Maybe I just don't do that, I just have the network, I'm not sure. Enter an IPv address from a VPC subnet. Like, should I be doing that? I guess it needs one. So I definitely feel a bit out at sea at the moment. Like, what am I? What is this? What is all this shit? Okay, so here's some IP addresses. So should I just add them all? Like, I don't understand why. Like, I guess the thing is I just don't know what you're supposed to do with these things. So I'm like, add the IPv4. So yeah, I don't know. I feel a bit at sea. Like, is there a way I can just test this without the load balancing to just test a single IP address? Like, just create a service with a single task that links to the container in the instance, and that I can access with just a single IP address that isn't, elastic or whatever. Is that possible? I feel like I'm trying to solve a much bigger problem than like I have, if that makes sense. Is that even recording? Probably not. I don't think this is right. Like, I see what this is all for, but it just feels like I'm getting Rube Goldberg machined by Nova, as usual. And myself, really. It is but a mirror. I'm going to just try and create a new task, launch type, EC2.
It sounds like you're navigating through some complex setups and feeling a bit overwhelmed by the specifics of configuring, load balancing, and IP addressing with ECS. Your goal to simplify the testing process and directly access your service is entirely understandable. Let's break down your situation and explore a more straightforward approach. Testing with direct access without load balancer. For testing purposes, especially early in development, it's reasonable to want to access your service directly without configuring a load balancer. With ECS using the AWS VPC network mode, each task or container instance gets its own Elastic Network Interface, EN, with a unique private IP address within the VPC, and optionally, a public IP address if configured properly. Here's a simplified way to achieve direct access. 1. Task definition. Double-check your task definition to ensure it's correctly set up for AWS VPC network mode, and your container definitions within specify the correct container port, e.g. 5500. 2. Launch type and task networking. When setting up your ECS service or running a task directly, choose the Fargate launch type if you want serverless compute for containers, which simplifies much of the setup, or EC2 launch type if you're managing your own cluster of EC2 instances. Ensure auto-assign public IP is enabled for your task or service in the ECS console. This is crucial for accessing your task directly from the internet. 3. Security groups. Your security group assigned to the task or service must allow inbound traffic on the container port EG 5500 from your IP address for testing or from anywhere 00000, although the latter is less secure. For direct access testing, once your ECS task is running, locate the public IP address of the task's ENI in the ECS console under the Tasks tab. If you're using the EC2 launch type, you can also find this in the EC2 console under Network Interfaces. You should be able to access your service directly using this public IP address and the container port, like EIP's task public IP 5500 in your browser or using a tool like curl. Summary. This approach skips the load balancer and targets directly testing your containerized application, making it simpler to validate your configuration and application behavior. It's suitable for initial development, testing, and debugging stages. But remember, for production environments, especially those requiring scalability, availability, and security, integrating with a load balancer like ELB and other AWS best practices is advisable. If you're feeling out at sea, it's okay to step back, reassess, and tackle one piece at a time. Let's make sure the core functionality works as expected before adding complexity. If there's a particular aspect you'd like to dive deeper into or clarify, I'm here to help guide you through.
Okay, so I'm creating a new service, and I can't see, like maybe I need to make a new task as well, but I can't see the auto assign IP. I've got a VPC that is like my default, and I can't really seem to, like, I'm not sure if maybe it's there. I've got an existing security group, which I can maybe check those, but yeah, in the service I can't see the create a, like auto assign an IP, and then in the task definitions, like maybe if I create a new task definition, but yeah, I couldn't see, yeah, no, I can't see anything about like auto assign the IP there. I think the only place I've actually seen that is in the instance itself, which I'm just checking now, where I think that, like, I'll just open it up now, key pair. Yeah, so auto assign IP public enable is just enabled by default basically. Yeah, I guess maybe I can check my security group that my instance is using. Maybe that's the problem. But like if I look at the instance, it's got a public IP that then when I go to it, it says the site can't be reached. So I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Given your situation, if you're unable to locate the option for auto-assign public IP during the new service creation process, it's likely due to the specific settings or the launch type you've chosen for your ECS service. This option is available and relevant specifically when you select the Fargate launch type for your tasks and when using the AWS VPC network mode. If you're using the EC2 launch type, the management of public IPs is handled at the instance level rather than the task level. Here's how you can ensure you're correctly setting up your service for direct access with a public IP. For Fargate Launch Type 1, create a new task definition or update an existing one. Make sure the network mode is set to AWS VPC. Configure your container definitions, including the port mappings that your application uses. E.g. Container Port 5500. 2. Creating the ECS service. Choose the Fargate Launch Type. Select your cluster. Configure the service, and when you come to the section for Network Configuration, ensure that you're in the AWS VPC network mode. There you should see the option to auto-assign public IP. Set it to enabled. For EC2 launch type, the option for auto-assign public IP doesn't appear because EC2 instances predefine network settings, including IP assignments. EC2 instances within your ECS cluster would either use an elastic IP or receive a public IP based on the subnet settings they're launched in. Ensure your EC2 instances are in a public subnet, which is a subnet with a route to the Internet gateway. The public IP assignment for EC2 instances in a public subnet can be controlled by the subnet settings. Check the subnet's auto-assign public IP setting under the VPC dashboard. Checking security groups. For both launch types, but especially for EC2, ensure the security group associated with your ECS tasks or EC2 instances allows inbound traffic on the port your application is listening on, e.g., port 5500 from your IP or wider if testing publicly. If you're still not seeing the option, if creating a service with the Fargate launch type and you're not seeing the option for auto-assign public IP, double-check the previous configuration steps and ensure you're in the correct section for defining network configurations. Sometimes, minor oversights in the selected options or being in the wrong section of the service creation workflow can cause confusion. If after these checks and considerations you're still facing challenges with the setup, or if there's any confusion about the steps, could you provide more detail on the launch type you're using and the specific step in the service creation process you're at? This will help in offering more targeted assistance.
Okay, so I'm using I'm using EC2 instance, and I do have the auto assign IP enable in the EC2 under the VCP. So like if I and that's what I mean. It's like you can see like there is the like public IP for that instance, but it doesn't do anything. So I go to my instance is running public IP like DNS availability zone, blah blah blah. The subnet stuff, like you kind of lost me. So I've got like a VCP and a subnet ID. If I go to the subnet ID, I don't really know what I'm looking for here. Like if I look at it, it's exists. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be a anything I can do to from there. I'm not really sure. So I've got the VCP ID for my EC2 that is, once again, it exists. Like I created this VPC, sorry. I don't really know, again, AWS virtual network, subnets, route network traffic to resources, connections to other networks, internet routes, 0 private subnets. I don't fucking know, really. The subnet, no IPv6, I don't know if that means anything. It's got like a IP address. It's like 172.31.0.0-20, or /20, sorry. What does that mean? I don't know. And then I've got a security group that they're all using as well. That is the default, and it's just got inbound rules, all traffic, protocol, port range, all, source, SG08, itself, I guess. I don't know. Then outbound rules, security group rules, all traffic, all I don't know. So yeah, that's that side, and then the ECS basically just uses container EC2 type service, and yeah, I don't know. I know it's using that instance. I know the instance is running the app. Is it in the security group? Have I got that wrong? Public IPv4 DNS. If I go there, it's just this site can't be reached, refuse to connect. So I don't know.
Given that you're using the EC2 launch type for your ECS tasks and have confirmed that the auto-assign public IP setting is enabled for your EC2 instances in their respective subnets, the issue of "this site can't be reached, refused to connect" suggests a connectivity or configuration problem outside of the public IP assignment. Let's go over a checklist to troubleshoot this. Number 1, check security groups. Ensure that the security group associated with your EC2 instances, and hence your ECS tasks if using the EC2 launch type, explicitly allows inbound access on the port your application is listening on, 5500 based on your previous messages. Additionally, if your application expects web traffic on port 80 or 443, make sure those ports are open as well. 2. Review network ACLs. Network access control lists can also affect inbound and outbound traffic for your subnets. Check the NACLs for the subnet S your EC2 instances are in, and ensure they permit traffic on the necessary ports. 3. Verify task definition port mappings. In your ECS task definition, verify that the port mappings correctly reflect the port your containerized application uses. The container port in the task definition should match the application's listening port, 5500. Remember, with the EC2 launch type, the host port and container port in your port mappings don't need to match, unless you have a specific reason for them to do so. 4. Instance status and task health. Check that your EC2 instances are running and in a healthy state. Similarly, ensure your ECS tasks are running and healthy. The ECS console can provide insights into the health status and any placement failures. 5. Directly access the task optional advanced step. If feasible, SSH into the EC2 instance running your task. Use Docker PS to find your container, and Docker logs container ID to view its logs. This can reveal issues within the application or with binding to the expected port. 6. Revisit application configuration. Confirm that your application is configured to listen on 0.0.0.0 rather than localhost or 127.0.0.1. Binding to localhost means the application won't be accessible from outside the container, even if the ports are correctly mapped and open. If after going through these steps the issue persists, it may be helpful to re-review the application logs for any errors that might indicate why connections are being refused. Temporarily simplify the setup to further isolate the issue, such as running a basic HTTP server in a container to ensure network and AWS configurations are correct.
Okay, so yeah, I think we can assume that some level of the network, like I don't know, we've got like the network configuration as good as we can. So going back to maybe back to basics is that we have basically it's like a Python app running in a Docker container. So it's it's got that main and then host 000 port 5500, right? So is that the port that needs to be in the port mappings when I'm creating the task, right? Because that's, which I did try. And then in the security group, like, how am I, like, I had all and all, but let's say I do specify, like, should I be specifying the 5500 there? And yeah, like, talk me through those port mappings as it relates to like accessing the container, and then because within that container there's like a Docker instance, like, like I had to curl into that Docker instance, like, so for example, like, how am I getting that 5500 out to the world and then accessing it in the task? And is there another way that we can maybe test that even more simply? Like, this couldn't be a simpler container. Like, it's just basically a Python app that exposes 5500. Like, I could put something else up there, but it's like, I've used this pattern heaps. Yeah. Hee hee. Okay, all right. So I don't set that. Fuck, where to go? Okay, so host port is 5500. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. What's that fucking mean? I don't know. Okay. So it's like service has task, and then configuration and networking. Like, where do I find its IP? fucking clue what's going on there. So services, I'm in this one, it's in progress, task definition, Cortex provider, EC2 instance. So now if I go to EC2, I'm assuming that this won't work. Yog. How sure are we that this is that? Updated less than a minute ago. Okay, so it's probably that. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, man. Oh, hey. Yeah, so like I'm kind of made progress. Basically, I realized like I don't need to be SSHing into the instance to like pull the Docker and all that stuff. That was cool to do though. But I now have it that like this instance is getting spun up by ECS, and so you got the service. It's running. It's giving me the logs. Serving quad app. So it's it's running the app, which is pretty cool, I guess. But it doesn't work. I'm kind of curious about actually is so yeah, it's like it's progress for sure. Like it's got the app there. I just can't get now. Basically, I just can't get to it. I can't find the fucking IP address to use. I'm sure it's just something so fucking simple as well. It's like classic, right? I've got the. So I'll start here. I've got the instance. So you like create the instance, and then it's got it's not going to work. It's an instance. I wonder if I can. What else can I see about this actually? Nothing really. That's fine. So I've got the instance. Here we go. Monitoring. It's getting used. Um, I've got a security group rule, port 5500. What's this? Oh, these are the security groups. Huh, what does that mean? I wonder if I can add one to this. Add a rule, HTTP. Oh, no, I guess not. $500. I got no fucking clue what I'm doing right now. If I just put all traffic there, don't know what that does. But yeah, I'm well and truly stumped. I just feel like I'm going to be sick with frustration. See, that's like the instant setup. Security groups, like, you know, I'm not familiar with them, but they seem like they're pretty simple. Like, this is just all everything, right? And then that's for this this app that's running that's ported 5500. I can SSH in and hello world it. Look, yeah. Is that me in it? I can't remember. Curl. I don't know what I'm doing. So then in the service here, it's got this task that is this container, but it doesn't have a public IP. ID. Get IP of task. AWS. Oh, hello, Mima. Come in.
She's like, I can't work out how to get in.
Oh, Mima, help.
Mima, look.
Come on.
What a darling.
Hello.
Gotta get like a little couch for in here.
Yeah. Little throne for my little doggy. Our little doggy.
You good girl, Mim.
Was she just like standing there or?
Yeah, because the door was open like that and she was just like sitting there looking at
Oh,
you.
how long did she do? Well,
I
she
don't
came
know,
with you maybe.
Well, like I came out of the toilet, like she was still in the bed when I went to the toilet, and then I came out, and then she was just like standing at the door, just being like looking at you.
Oh, Mima.
But like couldn't figure out how to get in.
Yeah, I'm basically like at that same point, and I just feel like it's just going to be something so simple. Like I've just like troubleshot my way all the way down from the top of the cluster to like the task, and all the way from the bottom of the container of the instance, sorry, to the I just can't get to it. And it's just probably some fucking thing. Ah! Maybe I'm like not in the right region? No, surely not. See, what's interesting is that I can actually go... Oh, you know what's crazy is, yeah, I actually am able to SSH to this. So that is the right DNS, because I can, that's how I'm doing this. Oh my god, what does that fucking mean? This is not... Can I like ping this? Ping. Fuck, so what does that mean? Okay, so IP address AWS can't can't access via URL, but can via SSH. What does that mean? Here we go. Expose the port. So this is how I've exposed the port. I haven't used Docker much. I don't know if that's too small. So, but like to get into the Docker, like I couldn't just, like I had to like get into the Docker as well, if you know what I mean? Like, the old telnet, eh? Yeah. Oh, what? No, telnet. Is that not? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Ingest rules not allowing. Yeah, so I've got a few different like configuration rules, or I thought I did. That's exciting though. Like at least, okay. I think fuck. No, I was gonna go down like all this like load balancing, like elastic, whatever, because it's just, you know. Okay, so it's just the security group, maybe. So these are the security groups. Security group all AWS, no connection. Incoming SSH. The default security group for VPS, hang on, what's that? Default. Oh, okay, nice, that's instances, mix, blah, blah, blah. So I'm SSHing fine, which is, I feel like that'd be harder. The server isn't accepting connections? Huh, okay, so look, I don't know what this VV means, but like it's getting to the server. If I just, oh yeah, because I have, well, oh, okay. Sorry, it's... Oh, but it's probably because I've got the SSH. Like, in this terminal, I'm already authorized? But it's not, it's like... Oh my god. Oh. What the fuck? What did you do? Did you fix it, Casarus? Did I fix it? Have I been just putting the wrong thing in? Oh my god. Oh my god. What the fuck? I think I'm gonna cry. That's what I've been putting in. EC2 34229 126 156 compute-1 amazon.com. Oh, yes and no. Oh, because the thing is that the security group I had all on it. So look, yeah, okay. Wait, the one that, did I just add that just then? Sorry, I must sound like such a dumbass. No, 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 I had this. Did I just add that? I guess anytime something happens that's good without like me figuring, like, I'm always very suspicious. Honestly, I'm glad you're on for two reasons. A, to remind me what I did, because I was sort of just, I think I was just in a fugue state. And B, I was like pretty ready to just fucking throw in the towel. But then I was like, this motherfucker's come on mine. I can't just quit. And it was fixed. I'm always, it's so funny. I got no idea what I'm supposed to do next now. I've like, this has consumed me just to get the hello world. Technically, I should be able to run a video edit. Ugh, fuck. Okay. I'll show you what the service is, right? So I made this for a mate, basically. I've got this like, I've got Nova, which is like an AI configuration tool, pretty much. And then I have like a configuration that is this video editor, so it just like exposes functions, and the function is video editing. And then, so I go videos, projects, I haven't seen anything but just like that AWS terminal. So I send it this video, and it basically, it's a whole, Nova is just this big monolithic, everything app that I've made that's just got everything in it. So it just sends the video to itself. It sends the video. Well, yeah, it doesn't send it, it just edits it. So now what I need to do is say, and that looks a bit like this. Hang on, I'll show you. Like, it looks as you'd expect. It's just like a big video editing script, basically. So, it's just like takes all this shit and then generates images, overlays them on a video, blah, blah, blah. So I need to, actually I'm gonna have to write something down here. Send video, okay, so like, send video, like, okay, so pre-process account side, control S, to do dot text, pre-process account side, like, Nova stuff, prep, I guess prompts plus image. Yes, here we go. So it basically, this video is just of me talking, saying I'm a potato, and then it just like generates images and inserts them based on the B-roll. Oh no, wrong button.
Hello. Hello. I live on...
Sorry.
Hello. Hello. My name is Sam. I am a big potato. I live on Potato Street.
Oh my god, I can't believe that didn't work. I'm a bit salty on, like, there's so many different edge cases they added in that it's like, sometimes guardrails the videos out of existence. I was a bit over the whole thing, but yeah, persevere. Okay, so I guess I need to like send video request and which is an S3 bucket, right? Get response. It's pretty simple, really. So maybe I'll go. Okay, so let's say we did it. Okay, so next step, I want to test the API, which takes an S3 key and a list of prompts which app uses. Let's see which app uses. So I want to test an API. Okay, see if this looks like it probably worked. There we go. So yeah, it'll
Hello.
yeah, that's the video.
Hello.
Try it out.
My name is Sam.
.com. Put a video in.
I am a big potato.
It's long, and it just
I
makes,
live
like,
on Potato
B-roll,
Street.
basically. It's pretty cool. I'm like sick of it, but I'm always sick of stuff, so it's not big news. Okay, we did it. Test a list of prompts which app uses. How can I make a curl request that includes that object? So, is it here? Object. I'll share. This is the route and what it expects. Yes. Yes. I'm the best. I'm the best. Nothing ever gonna bring me down. I'm the best. I'm the best. Okay, curl post, rah rah rah, here we go, blah blah blah. What does a transcript look like? Well, thankfully I can find. I'm always a bit hesitant to open these up in case I cook something. So, okay, so let's go to AWS, S3. So the hope being that, like, I'll be able to connect my bucket to my thing, because that all happens on railway. It's quite slow. It's not that slow, I guess, but you know. So the keys have the, I guess it does the job. I don't know what's going on with this. That doesn't matter. Just use this one. So that's the key. Extension, I guess, is MKV. And then I think actually I've got like some dummy, no, B-roll, B-roll. Here we go. Fucking hell. And transcript object is, if I could just leave that out and see what happens. Probably error, but that's okay. Fuck, I would be a very happy boy if this works. Oh, okay, sorry, whoops. Ah, okay. Okay, so this is how I did the curl. Oops. Example.json to do. Get all this shit put in. Control C. Delete that. Okay. Yep. There we go. And if I go here and I go HD content type application, and I'll just call it, what I call it, example.json, example.json. Yo!
Go in like 5-10 minutes?
Oh yeah, for sure. Sorry, I completely forgot. I might need slightly longer than that.
Well, I've got an appointment, so.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh fuck, I definitely forgot about that. Okay, no, definitely. All right. Thanks for playing. It's good. It's good progress.